Hey, what's up guys, it's your boy Untitled here bringing you another video today, and today guys we're going to be going over the top 5 attackers for the month of January 2019. I thought I would go ahead and bring this back. A lot has changed since October, which was the last top 5 that I did, was in October. So let's get into it. We'll be covering all the classes this month. Also, real quick, this will be the attackers, of course, and the way how we rated these, I was not the only one who created this list. It was me and the rest of the Grand Council members in the Discord. So if you're in the Grand Council, I'm pretty sure you're participating and all that, and seeing what we thought was the best attackers in the game, and all that stuff, or the most versatile attackers in the game. So with all that being said, I want to also announce one more thing. I have a voting poll down in the description box below. If you guys are a fan of Kingdom Hearts, or if you guys are interested in getting into Kingdom Hearts 3, I personally will be streaming all the Kingdom Hearts games, or I will try to, if the vote goes through and everybody wants to see it. I will be streaming all the Kingdom Hearts games starting next week on Sunday. So Sunday at 3 p.m. CST, and I will be going until the 29th. Also, it's not going to be like 24/7 stream. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be about like a 6 to 10 hour stream each day. I'll be playing through every Kingdom Hearts game that I can. That's on that 1.5 and 2.5. I don't know if I'm doing Raid Chain of Memories yet, but I'll be playing through each Kingdom Hearts game and beating them. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, that will be starting on Sunday at 3 p.m. CST if I can get enough votes. So we need 20 votes right now in order for me to do it, and also I need to average about 10 viewers per live stream or per KH stream for me to keep going with it. But if you guys want to see that, please go on ahead and go vote on that in the description box below. And yeah, and also if you want to tune into it, there's also my Twitch down there in the description below, so you can go on ahead and follow that if you want to see that. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun if you guys want to come along for that ride. Now with that being said, let's get into the top 5. So we are starting with the honorable mentions first. We have, for honorable mentions, we have Saitama, Clyde, and Corsair. Now Saitama, in my opinion, is still one of the hardest hitting units in the game. This list is basing you off of versatility, and that's my controller. But this list is based off of versatility. Saitama is really only good against giant bosses. His main downfall is that, his main downside is that he literally doesn't do anything but do damage. He doesn't have any buffs that he gives. He doesn't even give himself art gauge, or I think he does with his ability, right? He gives himself innate art gauge with his ability, or something like that. Okay, no, he doesn't. So yeah, he doesn't have any innate art gauge in his kit, which kind of hurts him drastically compared to most other units on this list. And it kind of hurts because he can't really be on the team, and he's not just gonna hard carry you through anything like he used to. Now with his awakening, I think he will definitely be able to get back into the top 5 whenever that comes out to global, which will probably be around maybe in a month or two, which is what I'm assuming. But until then, personally, I think that he's really fallen out of favor. I think there's a lot better options. So yeah, Saitama is one of the honorable mentions, but do not think just because the unit is not on the top 5, that doesn't make them like A tier or S tier, the case may be. If a unit's not on the top 5, that just means that we just don't think that that unit is versatile enough to be on the top 5. So yeah, now moving on from that, we have another honorable mention, which is Clyde and Corsair. I'll pretty much cover both of them at the same time because, you know, they're pretty much the same unit, just different typing. So Clyde, extremely good on mono fire, being able to give everyone increased damage whenever they're a fire unit. Also, he's giving everyone 20 art gauge with his true art. Same thing with Corsair. She's increasing all water elemental damage by like 30%, and she's also increasing like all art gauges by 20%, or not 20%, but 20 up with her true art. Also, wait, is it 30% art damage? Yeah, 30% art damage. Also, they both are increasing BE gain for both the specific typings for fire and water. So Clyde increases fire, of course, and then Corsair is increasing water. Pretty much, if you're running a mono team, there's no reason for these guys not to be on there. So yeah, both of them are very, very good, and I want to mention that they do some deeps, man. They really do. You know, it may not be a lot, but they put out some good DPS. Of course, you will need their true weapons in order for them to be like this. If you don't have their true weapons, then well, you're kind of out of luck, and they're not really worth even putting on your team at that point. So apart from that though, those are the honorable mentions. Now let's get into the actual top 5. Okay, so coming in at the number 5 spot, we have Awoken S. Now, this is going to be kind of controversial because some people may be like, oh, OP, I feel like you should have put Saitama over or in the number 5 spot instead of Est. And to be honest, I can see why you could say that. But me personally, I think that Est is still good. She has fallen out of favor just a little bit because a lot of people just don't use her anymore because people are using mono light teams or mono dark, or the case may be, or you know, they can't really fit Est in their team comp anymore and also, you know, there's other units in the game or other equipment in the game that's able to pretty much give you a better, if not the same buff that Est can give you, or a similar buff, let me say. So Est is still really good in my opinion. Whenever you go up against a giant boss, her intimidation effect activates, so you will have the boss's art gauge instantly. She's really good in that regard. She's really good in break nuke comp, so if you are going for a break first, then nuking, then, you know, of course I feel like she has to be in the team comp. Also, I want to say too, is that her true art still gives off a ton of damage and also does a ton of damage. Her true art being able to give off 100% damage up when the enemy is broken, or the giant boss is broken, or whoever is broken during break, you get 100% damage up, which is really good. Also, you know, she still hits really hard, especially when fighting giant bosses because of her giant boss killer. She does 50% more damage to giant bosses. Her physical or her equipment slots are kind of trash, unfortunately. Like, I would really like for her to maybe have like maybe a support slot maybe, because mostly she's just all 5-star physical and then 1 4-star physical, but I think it works with S perfectly fine, so it's perfectly fine in that regard. But I would really wish for her to have like a 4-star support so she can get some art gen kind of, so yeah. Apart from that though, S still a really good unit in my opinion, one of the best in the game by far. Whenever Saitama gets an awakening though, I think that Saitama may knock her out of this list, but for now I think Awoken S deserves the number 5 spot. This may be another controversial thing. Number 4, we're putting Jill. This is probably a surprise to most of you, considering that she is considered a breaker, but after thinking about it and talking to everybody in the Discord about it, I really think that she may be better off just being an attacker for your team. And the reason for that is her clone is able to give herself so much more damage, because if you don't actually realize this, you're only using the true art to give yourself, or to clone yourself, right, as Jill. So use your true art and it gives you your art gauge back, you know, it instantly gives you your art back after you use it, and then for 20 seconds you have that body double on the field with you, or your clone. So whenever you do that, her normal art becomes what, a 34,000% physical damage. Now of course, and also, what is it, damage and evasion rate of all allies up by, I think it's like what, 25%, right? Or is it 20% or 25%? It's something like that, which is pretty good. You know, that's a lot of damage increase, and I definitely feel like overall she's very, very good. And also, not even including that, but if you are able to put her true weapon on her, it makes her a very viable option as an attacker, because her true weapon is lowering earth resistance by 50%, which is really good, because the only other unit that has something similar to that is Regulus's true weapon, which Regulus's true weapon lowers dark resist by 50%. Same thing with Jill's. The only difference is Regulus's lasts a little, I think it lasts 1 second longer than Jill's debuff on her true weapon. So if you have a true weapon, it's really good. And also her true weapon will be giving you art gauge as well, which is very nice. Of course it is on a timer, but I definitely feel like Jill, after really thinking about it, I really feel like that she may be just better off as your attacker for your Earth team or your mono Earth team than maybe your dedicated breaker, because even though her break is going to be really nice with it, with her normal art, you know, giving you 8k break, you know, she will be doing a ton of damage as well. You know, 34,000% Earth physical damage with the normal art, once your body double is out there, is a lot. So, and also, including the break power as well, it's going to be 8k break. The main downside is, I think, to having Jill on this list, is she has no killer abilities or anything that, you know, innately buffs her damage apart from her normal art. And then her skill is nice because it does increase the BE by 50% when you use your skill and own art gauge 3 up, which is nice. But yeah, there's nothing really that increases your damage. Oh yeah, there is dramatic agent, which is when the enemy is breaking, you get 50% damage up. So it kind of solidifies her role as kind of, I think, in the middle of being a breaker and attacker. So I think that she's definitely more so an attacker after talking to a bunch of people instead of a breaker. So Jill, I think, deserves the number 4 spot on this list. Coming in at number 3, we have Rags. Oh, Rags, you've fallen a little bit, but not too far. After talking to some people and talking to the Grand Council and everything, I definitely feel like Rags overall as a unit, he is really good. He's still S tier, you know what I mean? But he's not as, how do I put it? I guess as shiny as he used to be, you know what I mean? He's kind of, you know, a little bit lackluster now, I want to say. Rags is still really good, don't get me wrong. He's an extremely good unit. On any nuke comp, you're going to be using Rags just because the absurd amount of damage he does bring to the table. But overall, like, if you could only put one attacker in your team, I guess it would be a good option to put Rags, but it's just like, he's not really doing a lot for your team anymore. I mean, it's still nice. He does bring some decent damage, or not even decent, he brings amazing damage to the table for you, and he also brings you a stun. But the main thing is, I want to say, is that apart from that, I feel like he really needs to be on a nuke comp in order for you to get a lot out of him, which more than likely that's what you're running on most events anyway, so it's not really a big deal. You know, there's no meta shift yet where we're not able to nuke everything. You know, that's the main thing so far that's been about Grand Summoners, is having those nuke compositions and nuke units and all that stuff that just do a ton of damage for no reason. So I still think Rags is really good, and also his slots are amazing. You know, what is it, 5-star physical, 5-star magic, and 5-star support. Those are really good on him, but I just feel like that maybe Rags is starting to lose some value to me because Regulus is in the game, and Rags kind of needs Regulus or some other debuff to really get a lot of damage out. As Regulus, he just needs his true weapon and then he's good to go, you know what I mean? He doesn't really need any other buffs or debuffs or anything like that, and then without that, you know, he's good to go. He boom, you know, he's doing deeps, he's out there, he's doing the damage, he's also giving everybody else crit chance and all that stuff. So, and that's the main flaw about Rags, but still, I think that he is a really good unit. I think he's still S tier. I think he deserves to be in this top 3, and in my personal opinion, I don't think he's really dropping anywhere below top 3 for a while. So, yeah, also, if you don't know what Rags does, pretty much with his True Art, he's going to be consuming 30% of his HP. He will negate 3k damage on the activation of his True Art, and then also, whenever you use it, you have a 100% chance to feint the enemy, because you will pick the enemy up and literally throw them into the air, and then whenever you do that, you will use your spears, and, you know, the spears go into him, boom, 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 dead. So, yeah, and also another thing is, too, is that he doesn't really increase his damage at all, I don't think. Or actually, yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. Darkness Tolerance and then Dark World is what increases his damage. But still, he is still really good in my opinion. He's very good. The main problem with him, too, is his boss fight. A lot of people can't beat it, so there's that as well. But he's still really good. I think he deserves to be on this tier list, or on this top 5 at the number 3 spot. But yeah, now let's move to the number 2 and number 1 spot. So, coming in at the number 2 spot, we have Regulus. Now, a lot of people are going to be very, very kind of, I guess, against this, I would assume, because they would be like, OP, why isn't Regulus at the number 1 spot and all this other stuff? Well, let me tell you, Regulus is still really good. There's nothing wrong with Regulus, and to be honest, in my personal opinion, I really feel like Regulus and the number 1 spot is kind of tied for how good they are and just overall like the amount of team comps they can be in. Of course, Regulus benefits from being in a dark team comp, but he doesn't need to be in that dark team comp. He can be by himself as long as he has his true weapon. He's doing the deeps, man. Really, like, there's no downside to using either of them. Same thing with Rags and everybody else on this list. There's really no downside to using them. It's just, who would you choose? So Regulus, what makes him have this number 2 spot is his 100% crit chance on his True Art. Also, his True Weapon is giving you 50% Dark Resist down. Also, it's giving Regulus 50% more crit damage, and also innate Art Gen, which is really good. Having that 50% Dark Resist down is extremely, extremely strong. That increases your damage by a ton. Also, Regulus himself is increasing dark damage by 30% just for him being on the team, which is really good. Also, Regulus's equipment slots are very, very solid, being 5-star physical, 5-star magic, and 4-star heal. 5-star physical, that could be Gem of Rags, the lights or the Cursed Light Sword from the raid. A multitude of items that are really good. Snippety Snips, Scissors Blade, whatever you can name, you can pretty much put that on there for him as his 5-star physical. 5-star magic, of course, being his true weapon. There's nothing else you would want on him. If you do not have his true weapon, then Rags, unfortunately, isn't number 2 for you. He's not even on the list if you don't have his true weapon, so there's that. And then for 4-star heal, Flower Cane, Relic Keratos if you need some cleansing on your team, or the case may be. So I personally think Regulus is extremely good still. In my personal opinion, if I could put 2 people at number 1, him and the number 1 spot would be at number 1. Now moving on to the number 1 spot, finally, for the most versatile attacker in the game, we have free. Is this a surprise to anyone? I'm pretty sure it's not. Even whenever I made the video talking about who you should summon for, hold on, wait just a second, let me make sure this is still recording. Okay, it's fine. Even whenever I made the video talking about who you should summon for, I specifically said in that video, Freed overall is more versatile than Sunny, because Sunny pretty much needs to be on an Earth or Light team to get the maximum effect out of her. As for Freed, he doesn't really need to be on any type of team. He could be on any team he wants to, as long as you have his true weapon. He's getting a ton of stats. His stats are absolutely ridiculous. You guys seen him on the channel multiple times, using my Freed on my light team, whatever the case may be, or you guys see me use him, in the raid, in streams, and all that stuff. He is a really good unit. He's not the hardest hitting unit though, but he still is very, very good. Now, he is the most versatile attacker in this game by far. There's no one that I think that really competes to him. Him being able to give himself crit chance on his normal art, build it up to 100% crit chance, and then being able to use his true art that gives himself art gauge back based on how many crits he hits during his true art, which it's 2 art gauge up every time he hits a crit during his true art, which is really good. Also, he does light and dark damage at the same time, so he's type advantage against light and dark units, so that's very, very good. And he's just overall a very fun unit to use. Even with his true weapon and all that, if you have his true weapon, it's a lot of fun to use Freed. Also, Freed, whenever you use his true weapon, it actually kind of buffs him a little bit in, I want to say, evasion a little bit. Not really like the stat evasion, but just overall I think he becomes a lot more evasive a unit, because whenever you use his true weapon, it actually, Freed will like jump all the way back and then use his true weapon. Well, whenever he does that, it just keeps pushing him back. So whenever he uses that and he does his true weapon, and also his skill as well, pushes him back, he kind of goes off screen to a sense, to where most of the time the bosses won't even hit Freed, but Freed will still be hitting them because of his ridiculous range on his true weapon, and even his skill, because he just does like a bunch of slashes in front of him, and his swords are decent range and they actually sometimes even hit the boss even if he's kind of off screen a little bit. So it's kind of hard for the boss to completely hit them unless he's like doing some type of like normal art or anything like that, but just normal attacks sometimes you won't even hit Freed. So yeah, and that's really good. And also a lot of things is that one unit I think that struggles from this, I think, is, I forgot who it was, but was it Hijikata? I don't think it's Hijikata. I forgot what unit it was. Maybe Shugimoto? I can't remember. But somebody, I forgot what it was. It was an attacker that struggled with range. Whenever they would use their normal art and true art, sometimes it wouldn't even like touch the giant boss. Well, with Freed, literally he'll dash all the way up into their face and then just fight them whenever he activates his normal art and his true art, so you don't have to worry about him ever being able to really miss or anything like that, unless like he has like a blind on him or something. So that's really good. Also, his skill is increasing his own art gauge by 10. Very, very solid. 7-second cooldown, really good. His normal art is, like I said, every time you activate it, you are getting crit chance up, and you're getting your skill CT speed reduced by 50% or increased by 50%. So that's 7 seconds, reduced by 50%. And I think that's what, like 4.5 or 3.5, I think, or something like that. So yeah, really, really good. Also, his true art, like I said earlier, does crit damage if you have your crit chance up. If you have your crit chance up, you know, 100% stacked on Freed. He's going to give himself art gauge and all that good stuff. So yeah, overall, also his equipment slots, 5-star physical and then a 4-star support. So he's really good. Also, I would say the main problem with Freed is that you have to do the Rags Giant boss in order to, you know, awaken your Rags. But of course, you know, I'm always trying to help people out with that boss if I can. So if you need help with it, you can always come to my Discord. But yeah, guys, that is going to be the top 5 for January of the most versatile attackers in the game. I think you guys may agree with this list, you guys may not. If you guys don't agree with this list, you know, definitely leave a comment down below what you think that should change around, or what do you think should be on the list and who should not. I would say probably the most controversial pick would definitely be Jill. I feel like a lot of people would be like, oh, well, Jill's more so a breaker OP, no really reason to put her on an attacker. But I definitely feel like that she could be better off just being an attacker than instead of like us categorizing her as a breaker. So yeah, apart from that though, guys, I've been your Royal P. Thank you all for coming out, and I'm out, guys. Peace.